Alrighty, welcome guys. Absolutely pumped to be able to present this to you. Something that has been very prevalent in my business in recent times in particular. And there's certain elements when you stop and think about it that will either repel your audience or attract your audience. And the reason why I say it's really relevant is because I went through a patch where I was in a very, very dark place mentally. And what I found was I was doing all the work and I was doing the things that I normally did, which worked. And I couldn't put my finger on it. The sales weren't happening. The people just weren't there in my audience anymore. And I was still making sales on a low ticket nature, but the high ticket stuff, basically it didn't completely dry out. I was still making sales, but it ended up shifting gears a little bit. And I thought, hang on a minute, what's going on here? And so I thought, I can either blame my audience, I can blame saturation, I can blame, geopolitical events, so I could blame all that type of stuff, or I could take stock of both where I'm at personally and take stock of what my business looks like and how I actually want to run that business moving forward. And I guess the burning question for me was, am I still passionate about building my business the way that I have been building it for many, many years? And I looked at the happiest times for me, and I looked at the best clients that I've worked with and the most fun that I've had throughout building this business. And I looked at the stressful times, the ones that I really didn't like, and the clients that maybe we weren't resonating together, things like that. And I started to dissect it all. Because I started to figure out, well, when I've been in the best mojo of my life, what am I putting out there that is attracting people to me? And it's weird, like honestly, sometimes it happens in such a bizarre way where out of the blue, people that have literally just found me will buy high ticket items of 3 to 5 grand or more in literally a day. 27 hours later, they are buying stuff, right? And I started to remember, well, what was I putting out there, both from a mojo standpoint and also from a content standpoint at that time. Sorry, folks. And so there's a couple of things I've written down I'm going to chat through that I've been able to dissect that allows you to become absolutely magnetic to ideal clientele, the people that really resonate with you. And it also, as a byproduct of you living through this in your own unique way, you're going to repel the people that you don't want to work with as well, right? Which is kind of cool. So I've written down 8 bullet points. I'm just going to talk through some of those, and obviously we can open up for questions and all that type of stuff down the track as well. So number one is everything that underpins everything you do online has to start from a clear vision, right? Because if you are unclear about what you want, then the universe, if you depending on what your belief systems are, the universe just won't give it to you, right? Audience, the universe just won't give it to you if you're unclear about what you want. So it all starts with you spending that time with yourself in your own world, figuring out exactly what you want, not based on what you see someone else wanting, not based on what you think you should want. What do you truly desire? From a business standpoint, how does that look, right? Is it building a personal brand, helping others, uplifting others? Is it making this amount of money? Is it living in this location? Is it eating this type of food? Is it doing this type of exercise? Is it reading more? Is it learning more languages? Is it learning how to fly? That's one of my goals. Is it hanging out with friends and family? Like, what does the life itself look like? And the clearer you can get with that, the easier it's going to be for you to draw it to you. And I know categorically the times that I have had shitty income, not great life experiences, and just felt lost and sometimes depressed as well. has been because I wasn't clear about exactly what I wanted. And because when you're not clear and you're just kind of like, oh, like you are then just letting life happen to you. So if you want to be magnetic, get clear on what you want. Because the people that are clear are the leaders. They're out there forcing their way through to make something happen with their lives. And the more you can tap into that, the more you can keep reiterating this idea that you've got about how clear it is. And, you know, a lot of folks refer to it as having a North Star, like you're always aiming in this one direction. Like the band, you're Harry Styles, right? One direction. And if you can get that clarity, you have what, sorry, folks, really bad today. You have what Napoleon Hill referred to in the incredible book Think and Grow Rich as definiteness of purpose. Because when you have that definiteness of purpose, then there will be no obstacles. There will be nothing that stops you because you are thinking about it all the time and you're drawing it to you because you want it. You're putting this beautiful, fun, amazing energy around the thing that you want. And the world, the universe, whatever you want to call it, God force, etc., has a funny way of delivering when you have that playful energy around something that you want, you desire, right? I say definiteness of purpose. And I was going to give you guys a little bit of a tale about where this has been really prevalent in my life. Now, what I will confess, first and foremost, is that I did not have definiteness of purpose through the majority of my affiliate marketing career. I just wanted money. I was like, I just want money. Give me the money. There was no vision about what I wanted. I didn't want to go, okay, I want to write some stuff and then I put that online and then people buy my stuff, right? I didn't have that kind of concept. I didn't have that clear, I will do this. This is the outcome type ambition. It was just like, I just want to make freaking money, right? Because I was focusing on something that I desired. But the truth is, I needed the money. That was the problem. I was flat broke. Like, even though I was earning good money, all that type of stuff, I had mountains of unsecured personalized debt. And so I was in this needy place. And so I just needed it, right? Which then meant that I wasn't focused and have a definiteness of purpose. And just, you guys know the history, right? Now, imagine if, hypothetically, when I got started in 2011 and I first set up a finance-related blog, so I was working in financial markets at the time. So I was kind of a subject matter expert, you could say. Imagine if I just stuck with blogging about financial markets for, 14 plus years now. Imagine how big my blog would be. How many millions of dollars I probably would have made in that time if I just an article a day, bang, bang, bang. And I could literally, even now, I can just write about the financial markets without even, I mean, I'd have to have consciousness, but not entirely unconscious, but I would be able to put out incredible volumes of stuff purely just based on the knowledge I've gained over the years. Started trading when I was 18, so I've done a bit. But imagine that, right? If I had that definiteness of purpose. Now, one time that I did have it, and it was really interesting. So, some context, I failed school. I failed English in my second final year, and I had to repeat that year, and I was pretty humiliated about that. Thought I was dumb, basically. And to the point where it shattered my confidence. I remember I went to read couple of lines of Shakespeare, my jaw wouldn't work. I just couldn't. Like it was really bad. So I put all this energy around being a failure and putting my identity at being dumb and all this type of stuff. It was interesting. So I quit school. So I'm a high school dropout. Never went to university. I don't have the greatest mathematical skills. Now I'm going somewhere with this, so bear with me. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I don't have the greatest mathematical skills. And yet, somehow, some miraculous way, I ended up working in not just finance, I mean, literally one of the most complex branches of finance, where you're dealing with multi-billion dollars exchanging hands every single day through the currency markets, futures, options, all that type of stuff. You had to remember these crazy big numbers. You had to do this arithmetic in your mind when you're on the phone to someone while the markets are going like this, and you're like trying to lock in a trade at a given price and the margin required to hold that trade. Somehow, some way, I became a subject matter expert at that. how, even now, I'm still such a crap mathematician, it's ridiculous. To the point where the ongoing joke, once I did actually work at this particular place, the ongoing joke was we would have these huge big numbers, we would remember all this stuff, then we go to dinner and just bear in mind Australia's not a tipping culture, so if a bill's $100, it's $100 basically. You can optionally pay more. It's not a thing that it just doesn't happen that much, that's all. Because the wait staff get paid extraordinarily well. So we get a bill for $100 and there'll be four of us. We're like, how do we split this? And there was an ongoing, it wasn't just me, like there was dozens of people that worked there that for some reason the real simple stuff was impossibly hard, yet these big, huge numbers. Now, the reason I say that is something I wanted to talk about real quick. And I'm understanding none of this has been real quick so far. But when I started realizing that, I'm like, okay, if I really want to become a good trader, it would make sense for me to somehow find a way to work in the industry. And so I started applying for different jobs. And eventually I applied for like a prop trading firm, and again, no experience and crap mathematician, so I didn't get that. I applied for this other place, applied for this other thing, applied for stockbroking, applied for you name it. I just went absolutely bananas. And then I found the company I wanted to work for, and I liked them. It seemed like they had a sense of ethics around what they did from what I could gather. And I knew they were just up the road from where I was living at the time. So a job opportunity came out and I applied and I got rejected. The funny thing was I met what later became a very good friend of mine and later manager as well, best manager I've ever had actually. And he's quite a terse sort of English gentleman. And he throws my resume on the table as I walk in for the interview. Said, well, look, unless you're some mathematical savant, there's really nothing on the resume that we're interested in. So is there any reason why we should hire you? Cutting to the chase, right? And so I was put off. I was, what was I, 20, young dude, 26 or something like that at the time, I think. And what are we, a bit younger actually, kind of thing, whatever. So I was on the back seat and I said, look, I'm not a mathematical savant at all. I'm sorry. I'm okay at it, but I'm certainly no whiz kid. I just know that I understand this company. I've been learning about it. So anyway, needless to say, I didn't get the job. Now, I was determined to get a job at this place, and it was going to happen in my mind, definiteness of purpose. And over the course of 2.5 years, I applied for another 4 other jobs that popped up. Ones I was not even remotely qualified for. I just was going to keep going. And eventually the global financial crisis struck, 2008, and I'd gone for yet another interview, and I actually got multiple interviews at that time. And I took a gamble. My then girlfriend was working over in the Philippines, and so I moved over there with her for a little while she had this contract, and I quit my job. And I just had faith that when we came back, I would have a job at this place. And it was a big to and fro between the recruiter. He was a bit of a shyster, as it transpires. And what had happened is I'd actually hired these 2 other ladies, and then I was like the third option because I'd seen me before and whatnot. And eventually they're like, we are so freaking busy, we actually need another staff member. So bang, I got hired, which is amazing, right? Now, within a very short space of time, I became a subject matter expert. And sorry, I know this is all about me, so I appreciate you guys listening in. But I became a subject matter expert because I was so insecure about not having a degree, not having any mathematical background. Like I wanted to make probation so bad, which is a 6-month period before they could say, no contract for you type stuff. And literally it was about maybe 3 months into it, even the team leaders from my team, customer service at the time, started asking me questions about things. And I was sort of like, hell, man, this is kind of crazy. They're asking, these are quite complex things. And I knew the answer, because I've been reading the product disclosure statement every day. I'd go and read all the terms and conditions on the website. I'd go through every piece of material that they had given me, documentation, things like that. I'd learn the ropes of everything, the short codes, everything. And I'd study it. I'd go home and study it and treat it almost like I was at university. Like say, subject matter expert, ended up moving into sales really quickly. I stayed there for about 5.5 years before I saw other interests and whatnot. So the point being is that when you have that definiteness of purpose, which in my case was like, I'm going to get a job there, no matter what. I don't care if it takes 5 years, I don't care if it takes 10 years, I'm going to work at this place. And somehow, some way, it took a little bit of time, 2.5 years, universe opened up and I, found my way in, and then the rest is history, right? I'm still very, very, very good friends with so many people from that place. It's just, I don't know, something about that particular office. We all became very good friends, which was remarkable. Anyways, so sorry, folks, getting issues at the moment. Appreciate it. So number 2 is you need to have, and this is really, really hard to do, and I will confess that I have wavered at times, and so it's a bit ironic that I'm going to say this, but you need to have unwavering resolve. Now, first time I really felt this in myself, obviously that experience, but when I saw it in someone else was when we went for the 2 Common Club Award, and basically Jacob's in my opinion, natural leader, and he just said, "Yeah, we'll hit 2 Common Club," and I was like, "Oh, really?" And I didn't have any kind of like definiteness of purpose at that point. I was just kind of like holding the coattails of someone else, and like, let's go on this crazy ride. This looks like fun. And then eventually, I could see it happening, and I was like, "Oh, he's not." He's like, just it's going to happen. Like, it doesn't matter if it takes 10 years for us to do it. He's just going to keep plowing along until that becomes a reality. It only took 14 months as it transpires, but there was unwavering resolve. I felt it myself once I got clear on what I want, which at the moment this is the clearest I've been in my business. And there's still things I don't entirely know. It's, and that's not the point. It's more about that's where I'm heading, and I'm heading there no matter what. Right? You're either going to come along for the ride or you're not. Right? That's basically it. And so you need that unwavering resolve. And what the backbone of that is that you end up with a very strong energy. And if you're articulating this stuff, sorry, folks. If you're articulating the stuff to your audience, and you're telling them like, this is where I'm heading, this is what I'm doing, this is who I'm serving, this is how I'm helping folks out, and you repeat that over and over and over and over and over again, it uplifts you, right, from a branding perspective, because they can see the clarity in your movements and your decisions and your mojo. They can see the strength of that. And people, they seek leadership, which is my next point. People seek leadership. Think about this. I had a chat with my wife the other night, and we were discussing, she runs a business, and it's gone very successfully, which is really nice. But there's tons of customer service. And it's really interesting because she's done her absolute darndest to get them to watch a 5-minute YouTube video to explain certain features. And human nature being what it is, they do not want to do that. It's like they subconsciously ignore the link and then will just rather send messages back and forth to get the answer. They just want to be told what to do, as opposed to just making their own mind up, because most people are scared. They're scared of making the wrong decision because they attach it to failure. They don't want to be wrong, right? If they're wrong, then they're a bad person. They're going to go to hell, right? So they'd rather just be told. That way it removes their responsibility from actually figuring out themselves. Is the underpinning thing behind that. It removes their responsibility from it. And so most people are like that. Wow. Hope I'm not coming down with something. And so if you are a strong leader, and it can be hard to step into that if it's not a natural thing that you are, or who you are, a personification of your personality. I certainly am not, right? I'm not a natural born leader. And it's interesting, when I have said that out loud, I've had people like my family, I've had my friends say, no, you really are. You're an exceptional leader. And it's interesting, is I still don't feel that I am, but the external perception of me is that I am a strong leader. So I thought, well, instead of me denying that, instead of my subconsciousness and now consciousness going, I'm not a good leader, why do I think I'm not a good leader? And I started having to dive into this. It's like, oh, because, just like if I'm around a bunch of people and I don't necessarily feel the need to empower and, lead anyone or anything like that. It's more just how do we just get the thing done, basically, right? And so when it was highlighted to me in a couple of ways, some of the ways that I do lead, I thought that would be helpful for you guys as well. um, and so on the in the online marketplace in particular, um, unafraid to speak your mind, right? If you have an opinion about something, and not in the designs of being a dick to someone for the sake of being a dick, I'm going to be polarizing today. None of that. It's about when you just express something. Like at the moment, on the platform called Threads. I'm just doing a little traffic experiment over there at the moment, and I'm enjoying the process. I'm enjoying creating over there, things like that. And one of the things that's popped up is that everyone seems to be selling four courses and all those kind of like MRR things. Now, here's the crazy thing about that MRR. You might have heard of master resale rights, and it's actually been around for years, right? I've got a membership that I bought in 2013. I still go onto that site on occasion to see if there's any updates and if there's anything I can use for my business. So, and I've got full master resale rights to everything on that site. So it's been around for years, but somehow it's this new thing and people are just like absolutely frothing over it. The crazy thing is, there's one of those products, I don't know which one, it's done $17 million of revenue. 17 mil. Guess how much the founders have made? $100,000. Imagine having all those customers. You can't monetize them, right? Because you've given the rights to someone else to monetize. Like it's insane. I think I think that crap, to be perfectly honest, right? And I started expressing that over there, which is obviously pissing a few people off because a lot of the time they love them. And it's not that the products are bad either. I just think that when everyone is selling the same thing in the same way, and there's like so many like faceless marketers over there, it's like there's not a brand. You might get lucky and make a few sales, but you're not building anything sustainable, in my opinion. And so when I've put that out there, unafraid to get a backlash, sometimes I do get backlash, right? Sometimes people get all up in arms because they get offended. And I'm just pointing out my opinion about something, right? So being unafraid to express an opinion. Um, One thing I've never had any issues with is experimentation. Right, I was really at this point. Um, is that you got to experiment, right? A strong leader is going to go out there boldly with that bold energy, and they're going to experiment with things because they're not afraid of consequence. The consequence is that the experiment doesn't work out. And if it doesn't work out, it's fine, right? It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. You will see sometimes I'll put an offer out there. Sometimes it doesn't sell. I will try a new content style, doesn't work out. I'll try something else, doesn't work out. Try something else, doesn't work out. I've tried in the last like month and a half. Obviously, like I say, I'm on Threads at the moment. Just really enjoying that platform. Um, Twitter ads, YouTube ads, something called Rev Content, which is native ads. Another one called Buy Sell Ads. I'm also on something called Beehive. Been writing an entirely separate newsletter, completely separate from my own brand over there, just to grow a separate entity, to then bring that back to my brand. Right? Experimenting, just trying stuff out, seeing what's going to work. And now there would be something that sticks. And I would discourage you from experimenting that crazily, right? You're better off narrowing your focus, and just like the experimentation could be things like just a different content piece, or trying something in content, trying an engagement style, things like that, right? Trying an offer, a workshop of some kind, something that helps folks out. Doesn't need to be that, but it's about being bold and defiant, and doing so. Another thing I've written here, but I'll discuss this now as well, is that you're not worried about what your neighbors are doing. You're not worried about, I'm going to try this thing because I saw old mate over there do it and it seemed to work. Now, don't get me wrong, I take inspiration from other marketers a lot. Like I will see something from Dan Kennedy or Dan Henry or Joel Irway. It's another one. I love his stuff as well. Laurel Portier. She's got some awesome stuff, right? And I'll take inspiration from that, and I'll see if that can work for my model, right? So I am taking that and using it as inspiration. I'm not saying don't do that, but don't go too crazy, you know, like I'm like all over the place with different traffic sources, things like that. So don't do that, just but you know, learn to experiment and be bold with that type of stuff as well. Another way is just being brash, you know, like being unafraid of just putting yourself out there and unapologetic about who you are and the way that you communicate, the way that you are in the world, things like that. Now, something I've written down here is the word arrogance. I don't agree with being arrogant. I think when you have an arrogant take on the world, then you believe somehow you're better than other people, and I think that's bullshit. I think we're all the same, to be perfectly honest. I think that some folks just learn a set of skills and a set of in a mojo a little bit more than others, and you know have more definiteness of purpose, more focus, more alignment, more movement in a certain direction. Right? I think that's the main difference between us all. And I think arrogance is a little bit different. Now, a couple of names I've written down there. I don't really see the latter as being arrogant, but number one, Trump. Regardless of what your political ties are, your political opinions, you can't help but basically admit that he is the entity of Trump is huge. Like he talks about himself all the time. He's like, yeah, I'm the greatest, blah, blah, you know, that type of stuff. Right. And so regardless of what your opinion about him is, there are still people that you will admire that are arrogant. Like you can't, man, that's so bold and brash and kind of annoying sometimes because like just, you know, hey, I'm the greatest, like self-aggrandizing, all that type of stuff. And it's about self-promotion more than anything, right? And so that is something that we all need to do anyway. We all need to self-promote regardless of what you feel might be the opinions of other people towards you, right? Because you can't care about that. They're not paying the bills. The ones that are like throwing the little pebbles at you and getting annoyed by, you know, you being who you are, they're not going to pay your bills, right? It doesn't matter. Now, the other name I've written down, and I actually don't think that this person is arrogant at all, is Richard Branson. I think he's quite, he seems like he has a level of humility, but there's a similar energy in that he's just like, he's even got a book. It's called "Screw It, Let's Do It." Right. So there's an element of extreme confidence, which is like, oh, I'll just give it a shot. I don't know if it's going to work. Maybe. And then, I mean, he's shut down multitudes of businesses as well. There's certain businesses that have not worked. Virgin Finance, they don't exist in Melbourne, at least anyway anymore. Virgin Music, I think it's certainly changed, at least anyway. I don't know if it's the same as it used to be. You know, there's a lot of those things, right? And but he's just bold enough to go give it a shot. And I think that's the thing. It's just he doesn't look at a failed entity and going, I'm a bad person. He's divorced his own sense of self from that, his own sense of self-worth. Just like, why not? Give it a shot and see if it works. Which is kind of crazy. Another one is positivity. And I'll tell you guys, this is a weird story. Got a weird tale for you. But there's only been one time in my life that this has happened, and I still feel to this day I still feel a bit weird about it. But I used to live. We had two flatmates, two ladies, and I was the only male in the house, and I had a great time. It was awesome living with them. One of them in particular, though, she had what I can only describe as an extremely negative and low vibrational frequency and almost a borderline negative energy, and to the point where I remember multiple times it's happened, and it's very real. I'm usually speaking a very good listener. I can pick up body language, I can pick up tonality. I follow the storyline pretty well when I'm focused on listening to someone. She would talk, and I felt myself like literally turn away on the couch. I was sitting next to her, and the first time I noticed I did this, when she starts talking after I'd asked her a question, and then I just couldn't be in that space. It was so weird. And I remember it, I'm like, oh my God, that is so rude. I'm so sorry. But it happened a couple of times. And I realized later on, I'm like, oh, energetically, it's because I am so out of alignment with her like low vibrational frequency that I'm like, I was kind of wanting to get away from it. And so the thing is that people they're not attracted to that clearly, right? They're not attracted to the low vibe stuff. They're attracted to high vibrational stuff, to positivity, to fun, to joy, to love, to seeking out cool stuff in life. That's what people are yearning for a lot of time. And it's the pure essence of who we are as human beings, is that I don't believe that we're designed to have a crap time on earth. Like, it's the more fun you have, the more cool stuff tends to happen, right? The experience of it. Like, it's where a lot of energy comes from as well. And so be positive. And I know it's a really hard thing. If you're in a dark space, you've got no money, blah, blah. It's like, how do you be positive? Well, you look internally. You look internally and you go, well, what do I have? So here's an interesting example. I slept maybe 3 hours last night, maybe 3.5 hours. Could not sleep. And I was getting frustrated. I'm like lying there, I'm doing all the things that normally work. And I had like heart things that were going real crazy, and my organs felt all weird. I'm like, I started like catastrophizing everything. Oh, maybe I'm dying. This is terrible. Eventually I nodded off. I slept on the couch because it's a different angle for some reason. I find it like relaxed in. And I was still so pumped to turn up today. But still, even though I've got coughs and I'm embarrassed by that, I'm still absolutely pumped that I could be here to help you guys out. Absolutely pumped. And so this fulfills me. I'm like, yes, can't wait, even though I'm exhausted. And I'll probably crash later on, but that's fine. I know I need to bring 100% of myself into this container, into this environment to help you guys out, to uplift you guys, right? Because doing this stuff, it enlightens me. I fucking love it. I absolutely love it. And so the point of all that is, I could have gone, oh my God, I'm so tired. I don't want to do this live today. I'm so tired. What am I going to say? But I didn't. I was looking at it and going, cool, I've got the opportunity to rock up here. I've got the opportunity to touch someone's lives today. The opportunity to grow a business that I absolutely love, that I love rocking up for, that I love being a part of, that I love the people inside these containers. I love it, right? And I've got that opportunity. And so if you look backwards and look at where you are, and even the times when I was flat broke after bankruptcy and all sorts of stuff, right? And probably worse, I was actually broker, believe it or not, after bankruptcy, because I didn't have a job, I was working for myself. I didn't have any clients at that point. I had a very sort of sporadic client that I was working with, and they only needed stuff kind of every week or two. And I was down to my last $84. And my wife had been supporting me for quite a long time at that point. And she was on the breaking point. I didn't want that to happen either. I didn't like the idea. I felt very kind of humiliated that even at that age, I was still being looked after, financially. It was not a fun place. So I was down to my last sort of like $84. And the thing that helped me turn it around is I did a turnaround. I looked at, well, what do I have? What do I have? Okay, well, I'm healthy. At that stage, I was a lot younger, but I'm healthy. I'm really healthy. Like, I'm fit, good, healthy, I've got a body. Clean water. I can walk over the tap right now and grab just clean flowing water. I'm breathing, I'm alive, I'm here, I woke up this morning, gives me a fighting chance. And when you start to look at these little things, right, little tiny things, I can afford to buy a top. Somehow, I've got this, right? I'm warm, it's warm, I feel nice and warm, it's beautiful. Got shelter, I'm in a home, we're in a nice shelter, in my case, a loving wife, a loving family. My family's amazing. Okay, I think it's pretty cool. They'll go outside and see a bird floating around or flying around. Oh, nature is so beautiful. I love that. Right. And when you look at this and you get your reticular activating system, RAS, to start to seek out these things, then it snowballs. You start to look at the positive stuff everywhere. And then your energy is back on point. Start to be positive because you're actively seeking the positive things. And when you're putting a disproportionate amount of energy into seeking those out, you uplift yourself. Your mojo grows. And that comes through in your content, comes through in the way that you're poised, comes through in the way that you communicate, both written and verbally. And people could feel it. They can feel it through the screen even. Because they're like, man, dude, he's clear. He's in a good place. He's got all those things that he just said. Authenticity. I don't believe in saturation, right? So a lot of folks, they'll jump into this thing and go, oh, food might be saturated. It's competitive. Absolutely, it's very competitive. But at the same time, there's only one of me. There's only one of you. There's only one of any of us. Out of 8 billion people in the world, there's only one. Now, of course, it's doppelgangers, long lost twins, all that type of stuff, right? But there's only one person that has had our life experience that has our current emotional state, that has our capacity to communicate the way that we can communicate. And so it's important for you not to put a mask on. And I understand if you're reading things like Dan Kennedy and certain things like that about brands and polarization, all that type of stuff, there's going to be elements of those things that you have intentionality around in terms of the forms of communication. But at some point, it becomes just a natural extension of who you are anyway. Right? So my content, and I'm going to speak into this in a moment, I've been really locking in on speaking to the present pain of my marketplace, really locking in on that. Now, going back 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it wouldn't have made sense for me to communicate in the way that I'm communicating now, because I would be faking it till I make it, right? The reason why you're not making 50K a month is because, but that's now a reality that has happened. Not every month is 50K at the moment. I've obviously gone through this massive transition period with going from affiliates to coaches, all that type of stuff. This new coaching container, things like that. But it's the same principles, right? So be yourself, because everyone else is taken. And on that one, going back, I just want to cross-pollinate a couple of these topics real quick. So I spoke about positivity. And as well as being authentic, sorry. But if part of who you are and your identity is like you have a bad day every now and then, it's okay to express certain levels of vulnerability in your content. It's okay, right? It's okay to get a little bit vulnerable, have a confession to make. It wasn't always like this. Here's the truth of what happened. Right? It's okay to have that experience and to feel that and to put that out there. But I would caution you not to lean into that. And it's a mistake that I often see of folks that are airing their dirty laundry out there. That part I don't get. I just really don't get it. There's people that are speaking about certain behavioral traits that they have. And I'm just like, be authentic. You don't need to air every single element of dirty laundry out there for the world to know. Like somehow you're vilifying yourself and punishing yourself. Like, oh, okay, I'm going to publicly humiliate myself by telling you about my nasty little secrets. I don't get that part personally, because I think there's certain things I just don't want the world to know anyway, right? They don't. That's only for the people that are close to me that get to know that type of stuff about me, right? The rest of the world, they get the true, authentic version of me. But of course, there is going to be an element of filtration. Hopefully that makes sense. So next one is speaking to the present pain your audience is experiencing right now, the present pain. That will move the needle in terms of getting buyers more than anything else. And in our industry, it's not super complex, right? This is why I say when you're building your container, your community, why the data points, that's the most important aspect of the entire sales process, because they are telling you in advance what they need and want, and what they desire. What would you like to learn here? Well, lead generation, for example, right? How to close DM sales and scale to 30K months. What does that mean? Well, they're not at 30K months. They don't know how to close DM sales. Cool. So now you know 2 pain points. right? We know that they are far from being where they would like to be. Plus, they also don't know how to do it, which probably indicates that they're actually more on the ground floor than anything else, right? So you kind of know roughly where they are in the journey. Now, do this long enough and it becomes just ingrained into you. You start to learn and understand and just kind of feel through these processes because you've been through it yourself so many times as well. And so, for example, if one of the pain points was people they think lead generation is a problem. Typically, it's not lead generation, by the way. It is they don't know how to hook someone to get them interested in what they've got because they haven't displayed any level of authority to get that person to consume any of their content. And if you can reverse engineer that and you start to put a little bit of authority into it, and you speak to your audience from an authoritative, implicit basis, which is something I've told you guys about numerous times, you elevate your own authority by elevating your own mojo first, and then doing all the stuff I said, experimenting with a few things. I'm going to try and get some leads this way. Let's give it a shot. Oh, it didn't work. Okay, cool. Document that. Here's one of the biggest mistakes I made in lead generation recently, what you can take from it. It's pretty authentic that someone would actually declare their mistakes out there. You can do so in a positive way as well. It's not like you're going, oh, I'm such a loser for mistakes. Like, here's top 3 biggest mistakes I made after trying X. But then the results turned around, right? That would be the caveat. So the results turned around when I did this, buy my stuff, right? Hopefully you understand the difference. But if I was to speak to, and again, I'm just picking on lead generation, but if I was speaking to the present pain of that, you could say something. So what do people desire? Look at the polar opposite of that. So the present pain is like, I'm not getting leads. Well, what is the byproduct of them not getting leads? What happens when they're not getting leads? Well, they don't get any interested people in their offer. And if they don't get interested people in their offer, they don't get sales, they don't get sales, they don't get money. And then they don't get to do what they want to do. So then they start to have a deficit in their own mind, and then they think it's lead generation, right? Which is easily fixed. We can fix that real easy. But if you know that, now that you know that, right now you can speak to that. And so the desire is, in their mind, in most people's mind, I want everyone to reach out to me and ask for my link to my thing, and then just buy it. Like, no, I don't want to be like salesy and all that type of stuff. I don't want to follow up. Like, just come in and buy my stuff, right? I want to do one task and get money on the other side of it. So if we know that that is a typical sort of subconscious desire for a lot of people, now we can speak to that as a present pain that we are alleviating, right? So what I mean by that is, if I was to say something like, the reason you're not getting warm inbound leads from people begging you to give them your affiliate link could be one of these reasons, right? Now, see what I did there, or hear what I did there. I basically said, from an authoritative basis, like I'm a doctor telling a patient something. Hey, the reason why you're not at the weight that you currently would desire is because of X, Y, Z, right? So instantly, in the minds of your prospects, you have established a sense of authority. Well, that's the reason. I'm telling you, this is the reason why this is not happening. And they're like, oh. So therefore, if you're putting in the title and the hook, the desire that they want, which is warm inbound leads that instantly want to buy your stuff, I want that. It sounds so cool. Here's why it's not happening, right? So you're establishing the pain point, call to action, reach out to me if you'd like some information on this stuff. So that would be speaking to the present pain point. Another frame is, when I stopped doing X, this result happened. Okay. When I stopped blaming others for my lack of success, my results took off and I started making 50K months. Right. Now, obviously, if you're brand new and you don't have those results yet, go to get some hustle on, right? You can't avoid hard work. Go and get some engagement up, go and engage in your audience and be present in your audience. Get a lead magnet or borrow one of the ones from here. Put out a little offer post. Just establish the 3-part series that's going to get you blah 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 result. People in the comments, me, right? DM them. Hey, how's it going? What are you working on? Blah blah blah. You got leads. Right? If you did that in the stories and publicly, every day you'd have leads. When you get leads, what do? You talk about it. Who wants to see how I'm getting 5 to 10 inbound leads every day without, in less than 10 minutes a day? Oh, yeah, me. Bang, put a low ticket offer as an offer on the back of it, start making sales. Who wants to see how I'm seamlessly making sales? Me. Here you go. Here's the thing, right? Ta-da, buy my stuff. And those sales that you make, that is the gold of your entire business. That is the absolute gold dust. Because if you get enough those little sprinkle of little sales, then you're going to form a gold nugget, which is big sales, right? So speak to the present pain. And I would probably 80-20 it as well, by the way. What I mean is, if you are speaking to those pain points, and it can be mixed, the reason why you're not making sales, the reason why people aren't begging to jump into your offers, the reason why this is happening, blah, blah. I'd have it around about 80-20, right? So 20% sort of lifestyle business, lifestyle content and other things like that, student results, case studies, things like that, and then 80% of that pain point stuff. And you'll find that over time, people will consume your content more and more, and it helps them out. They get insights. They see you as an authority because you are manifesting, you are creating your authority by implicitly talking about their problem, their present pain. You'll get more sales, just categorically. You will warm your audience up. They will be more intrigued by your stuff. They will want to work with you, basically. So I wrote this thing down, which and I've since quoted it on threads. I might throw it around a few different places as well, which is neediness is opportunity repellent. Neediness is opportunity repellent. And it can be very hard if you are in a state where you really need money, right? I get that. I get it's really hard. But you need to have an illogical belief in the outcome transpiring absent of those physical results that you see in order for that to be a reality, right? You need to have the illogical belief. Like, it's illogical that someone would find me and then 27 hours later pay me 3 to 5 grand. Doesn't make sense, but it happens. People do. They find me and they're like, "You're my guy. I don't know what it is. It's just something about you. We're working together." I'm like, cool. Join the club, right? And you have to have that illogical belief for it to then be a present reality. And if you are in a state of neediness, and I will confess, I've been there many times. It's something I have to unlearn and relearn. I have to relearn how to be abundant. And a really good example is things like I used to, chase someone around and we'd have great chats and like, yeah, I'm going to buy. And then what would happen, especially with SAA, is that for context, I wasn't a product owner. Okay, so I got remunerated by being an affiliate like everyone else, but this wasn't known, right? So therefore, people would just see me as the coach for this program, not knowing that the only way that I was actually getting money is by being an affiliate. So oftentimes I would introduce someone to the program, and then they would think, because I'm just coaching to get paid anyway, they go buy through a public affiliate, not knowing the context, right? And so I'd lose dozens of sales, dozens and dozens. And so this was like my lifeblood. It's my shit, it's my earnings. What do I do here? And I started to get real panicked. I'm like, oh my God, I've lost another sale. And I had to reframe that because a couple of things popped up at certain times. Number one was, okay, well, how do I combat this so that they know that I'm just an affiliate as well? Okay, well, that's one. I can do that, right? Put that into my scripting process, number one. The next one was understanding that I never lost a sale, ever. And here's what I mean, because people had multiple instances where this has happened. They would jump into something else and they'll be like, "Oh no, I just wanted to jump on that deadline. I'm still getting your thing as well." And then all of a sudden they would buy my thing as well, my high ticket stuff. And so I'd go into this with this panicked, fearful, "Oh, damn it, I can't believe it," frustrated and reactive energy, only to find out that no, I'm buying it, and then they buy it. And so I got proved wrong. And I was like, okay, maybe I need to update my way of thinking around this, right? And so the way to combat neediness is, in my opinion, from a leads perspective is volume, right? If you've got tons of leads come through, you're not really that worried about whether old Sally and Bob buy, right? You're not really that worried. It's like, cool. The tricky part is living through that when you don't have much of leads, when you're just getting started, when you really, really, really freaking want the sale to land, and it's like you're waiting, oh, is it going to be? Is it going to? I don't know. And so you have to hold that positive, abundant energy. And one of the ways that I've managed to do that over the years is twofold. One is kind of a little bit crazy, but sounds very odd, but giving money away. I know it sounds really, really, really interesting. But I will do so not because I have to give money away. It's because I'm like, no, I absolutely trust that this is going to come back to me. And I know that the act of giving, no matter what it is, it could be an extra tip to wait staff, it could be giving to extra to a charity, it could be someone on the street you give money to, it could be giving it to your other half or your kids or whatever it is, right? And you do so with this loving, pure, abundant energy. And you love the act of doing it because it helps that other person out. And it's crazy, but it will come back to you, right? So that's what I do. Not giving away the farm, right? But even just a little bit, give a little bit more away. Works absolutely amazing, right? Because it teaches the universe that, hey, there's abundance here. Now, I would throw a caveat on that and say, if you have, say for argument's sake, it's all your income, you've got like 10%. Sorry, I'd go, 5% invest and 5% give away. 10% invest, 10%, whatever it is for you. So Dan Kennedy, no, actually, no, it's not Dan Kennedy. He does speak about it in his books, No BS Wealth Attraction. And he says, just do it for 90 days and you'll be flabbergasted, right? So I did that many, many years ago, and it just works crazy, right? So that's one thing. And what it does is just keeps teaching, like, you got to have faith, you got to have trust that things will work out in your favor. Right. And the more trust you have, the illogical stuff starts to become a reality. The other way, it's kind of touched on this before, is that you focus more on what you do have versus what you don't have. Because if you focus on what you don't have, you're creating need, and need is attached to fear, because it's a fear of not having the thing that you want, right? And so if you look at that and you go, okay, well, instead, what do I have? What's over here? What do I have? Okay, well, I've got this much money. Yay, I can buy it. And start to think about all the stuff that you can buy with that. But you're making a choice not to, maybe, right? Mentally start spending. Oh man, this is cool. I can buy that, I can buy that, I can buy that thing. It's amazing. I can go there, I can travel there, I can do this thing. It starts to become pretty amazing. Now, the other part is just keeping that focus. And like I say, volume with your leads. You got more leads, then you have a very abundant approach to that. Not super worried, right? Final one I'll chat about here is care what others think, and they will always be your master. Care what others think, and they will always be your master. Right. So this one took me a lot of years to learn. And it wavers. Some days I wake up and I'm like, I feel vulnerable, and I do care what other people think. And I wish I did. I really wish I did, but I do. But at the same time, I also know that the people I think I should worry about aren't, no, they don't really care. They're not paying my bills either, right? Why would I give a crap? And the more I can think of that from a logical basis, it actually allows me to detach from the emotional basis as well, right? So every time I'm like, oh my God, this person said something mean online. And I think one of the things that I've learned over the years is to, well, no, I've always had it internally anyway, but had a very deep sense of empathy as well. And so therefore, even if I get like hate mail and different things, like I've had a few things, and they sting. I've had something recently where the guy was really mean. And it stung. And so I was like, I'm going to sit with this for a day because I don't want to react, which is I should have put number 9 down. It's don't be reactive. right? If you're somewhat stoic in your approach to things and you're unwavering, coming back to, number one, clear vision, unwavering resolve, it's going to be very, very, very powerful, right? So don't be reactive as well. But where's it going with that? Yeah, I basically just, with the guy, because I have deep empathy, I then reread the email that he sent through, and I read it from his perspective. And I then looked objectively at everything that I had done at that point. I'm like, what's the mismatch here? What's the promise versus the delivery? What's going on? Now, of course, there's outliers. I'm not saying that you have to believe everything someone says just because that's their experience. But it did allow me to then view it and go, okay, cool. Well, maybe there's a mismatch between what's being said here and what's being delivered there. And because of that false expectation that has been created, that's something that I can now fix. So I said, look, I appreciate that, blah, blah. And so we got along, we were fine after that point. So I appeased the situation. So the point being is that I cared mainly because he was a customer. If he's not a customer, he's just some random like, hey, you look funny and you swear too much. Like, doesn't matter, doesn't mean anything at all. So there you have it. So I would encourage you to think through these things. Think about how you can deploy these in your business, in your content, in your life. Because the truth is that the content that you're going to create is an extension of who you are, right? We are a personal brand. I am Jamie Gardiner, the personal brand. So when I'm putting stuff out there, it is a reflection of my own creativity, my own, life experience, my own heart stuff. And the more we can lean into that, the more powerful our energy grows, and the more people we're going to attract that are in resonation with exactly who we are, that we really want to serve, that we really want to work with. So, anyways, this has been really fun. I appreciate you guys. I'll get the recording up ASAP, and let me know if you have any thoughts on this. Drop a comment below. You guys have an awesome one.